Salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Joining me in studio today is our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Good morning, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
How's it going? It's a new week.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show, well, that's when we take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on our show, go ahead and use the super chat feature in the live chat and send it on in. Now, I got a little bit of an announcement to make. So, you know, we switched over a little while ago to taking questions via the super chats so people can ask questions who are watching live. But, you know, 95% of the people who watch the John Campea Show are not able to watch live. They watch it after the fact. And I've been fielding a lot of requests from people who have been asking for the ability to open up the tip link again so people can send in questions when we're not live, since they don't have the ability to watch live.
Do we really want to reward people that aren't willing to be here when we're here?
I know, I question their commitment.
I don't know.
I know you're at work, but come on. So now, starting tomorrow, we will be taking questions for people who are watching live from Super Chats, but we are also going to take questions from the tip link. And our tip link is www.streamelements.com/John Campea.
Now I lost it. Here it is.
Do we got it?
Yeah, it is.
There it is.
Sorry.
www.streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. So if you watch this show when we're not live and you want to send in a question, you can use that tip link to send in a question. Then if you're somebody who watches live, you can use the super chat feature to send it in live. And we will start taking tip link questions along with our super chats tomorrow. Today will be super chats only, of course. All right, guys. Can you believe?
Yes.
Oscars are this Sunday.
I know.
The biggest, most important day in the year, and the race is heating up. We're going to be talking about some of that stuff a little bit later. And you know what else is this week, Rob?
4 sleeps until Project Hail Mary, John.
Project Hail Mary on Fridays, the first round of advanced fan screenings they're doing. And I talked to a friend of mine who's a member of one of the guilds. Had nothing to do with the movie. Got to go see it at the Science Center IMAX.
That's the big one.
With a bunch of people in the science community. Got to go watch it. And he's in the film industry. And he said to me, it very well might be one of the greatest films ever made. Now, that's just one guy's opinion. That is just one guy's opinion. But he was very enthusiastic about it. And again, Project Hail Mary is coming, my friends. Anyway, with that all down, guys, we got a number of things to talk about here today. So let's get things started, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. You know, probably since about the late 1980s, early 1990s, there's been talk about doing King Conan. And it seems like every year, Arnold Schwarzenegger is, through no fault of his own, because people ask him about it, ask him about what's happened with King Conan. Now, over the years, there have been a number of false alarms. There have been announcements over the years that, they're looking at moving forward with King Conan. Well, that was in 2003. Then, now they're looking forward to moving with King Conan. Well, that was 2007. And so on and so forth. But today, we've got word from Arnold himself that they are, in fact, developing, and Christopher McQuarrie is writing the script, apparently. This comes to us from the folks over at MovieWeb, quoting Arnold, who has said, "They just hired the fantastic writer." I'm no Christian Harloff when it comes to doing Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonations.
Fantastic.
The director who did Tom Cruise's last 4 movies. That's terrible. That sounds like he's from Transylvania. They just hired him, Christopher McQuarrie, to write and direct King Conan. He goes on to write. Now, what they do is that they write the part. They don't write them like I'm 40 years old. Arnold is now 78. You write it to be age appropriate. I'll still go in there and kick some ass, but it will be different. With King Conan, it's a great old story that Conan was 40 years as king, and now he gets forced out of the kingdom, and there's conflict, of course, but somehow he comes back. Somehow the emperor has returned.
Yes.
Somehow he comes back, And there's all kinds of madness, violence, magic, and creatures and stuff like that. And now, of course, there's all kinds of special effects. The studio has plenty of money to make those movies really big. So I'm looking forward to all of those projects. Projects, plural, by the way. All right. Now, on the one hand, I mean, this is the most concrete thing. Like, it's always been, over the years, Rob, it's always been very theoretical, very nebulous. Oh, somebody's working on something, like literally for decades. It's been that. This is by far the most concrete information. Is like, they're developing it, and Christopher McQuarrie is the one who is writing it up and maybe would direct. That's not clear, but maybe direct. And as somebody who is a long time Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, like I grew up with Arnold, and I'm mispronouncing his name, I'm sure, but Basil Pomodouros, the guy
Basil Pomodouros, yeah,
who did the score, like that, like that's been like one of the soundtracks of my life.
It's a great
the
soundtrack.
Anvil of Crom.
It's if you won't help me, to hell with you. I mean, it's like one of the soundtracks of growth from life. I've always wanted, like the end of that last Conan movie, where then it's kind of like the little thing. You see old Conan sitting on his throne with the little text writing. I've wanted forever, and now it sounds more concrete than ever before. But I've got some bad news. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Arnold's right. The studios love throwing tons of money behind projects like this. But here's the problem, and I say this as somebody who worships at the altar of Crom and at the altar of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I want to see him continue to do more things. But the problem is nobody goes to see Arnold in anything anymore, and they haven't for over a decade. I don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you the truth. Nobody goes to see Arnold in anything anymore. If you want to look at his last 10 years, this is just the last 10 years. Look at this. Terminator Dark Fate, a Terminator movie, made $261 million. Iron Mask, which was a foreign film, made $14 million. Killing Gunther, also a foreign produced film, made $10 million, only limited release. Aftermath, limited release, $800,000. Terminator Genisys, which, as Schnepp used to say, Terminator Genisys, $440 million, but that was kind of the end of the road. Maggie made $1 million. The Expendables 3, which he did not have a big role in, but $209 million. Nobody went to go see Sabotage. And by the way, I actually thought Sabotage was pretty good. I didn't mind Sabotage. I kind of liked it. Still only made $18 million. Escape Plan only made $137 million. If I'm not mistaken, he did that one with Sylvester Stallone. And Last Stand, you might want to take my shot down there for a second, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
Last Stand, which, by the way, I really liked. I had a lot of fun with Last Stand. Johnny Knoxville was in that one with them. Really good, fun movie. Nobody went to go see it. $48 million. Arnold is now 78. I am not suggesting Arnold can't still do stuff. Not at all. If everything went perfectly and according to plan, they would probably start rolling cameras around his 80th birthday. And by the way, if you and I can only hope to look half as good right now as Arnold looks at 80, we've been doing well. But the numbers have no nostalgia. Numbers have no biases. Numbers have no favorites. Numbers are numbers. And the numbers are nobody goes to see Arnold in anything anymore. And unless you say, oh, but John, you don't understand. They'd go to see him in Conan. They said the same thing about Terminator. Said the same thing about Terminator. Do I want this movie? Hell yes, I do. I'll be there. Me and Rob will be all alone in the middle of the theater with the whole place to ourselves.
No.
And we'd be enjoying it. I want to see it. Do I love the idea of Christopher McQuarrie being attached to this? Yes, I do. But I also happen to know, as a matter of fact, that McQuarrie is circling several other projects right now. But still, would I want to see Arnold in a Christopher McQuarrie written and directed thing? 100% I do. Sign me up. But you aren't going to get this by a board of directors. You're not going to get this by the budget people because most people watching this show right now weren't born when Conan the Barbarian came out. And most of the people watching right now have probably not gone to see Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in the theater in the last 10 years. Some of us went to go see the last couple of Terminators. I want them to do this. I believe they're kicking the can and kicking the tires on it and seeing what they can put together. Then maybe there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. But Rob, I would put real money on the bet that if we could look into a crystal ball, a palantir, if you will, and look 3 years in the future, there's still no Conan movie. I just don't believe, because Rob, make an argument for me that Arnold Schwarzenegger is still a box office draw. At any rate, Rob, I think you like this idea as much as I do, but I think you probably have a little bit more faith that this could actually happen than I do. What do you think about this?
I have absolute faith. Not only do I think that this should happen, I think it's going to happen, because as the Hollywood Reporter reported today in their Heat Vision section, this would be through 20th Century Studios that acquired the rights, obviously. 20th Century Studios, the president there is Steve Asbell, who I like to call the quiet king of franchises, brought back Hellraiser, Alien, Planet of the Apes. I think he did like Single White Female or something. There was one on Hulu.
How funny.
He is, I call him the quiet king of franchises. And I think he's tired of being the quiet king of franchises. And when he does, in fact, bring back King Conan, he will be the allowed king of franchises. We'll come up with a good name for him. But I think that he wants this to happen. But here's why it is going to happen, John. Do you know what's going to happen? If, in fact, Chris McQuarrie is going to write and direct this movie, guess who the villain is going to be? Guess who the man who is going to cause King Conan all of his problems is going to be?
In a fourth wall break, Jason Momoa.
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise will be the villain in this movie because he's never done that other than playing Lestat, who was kind of an anti-hero. So I think that will be the key to getting this film made. Because, look, if you saw last night, Tom Cruise appeared at the Saturn Awards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was involved with the Saturn Awards for many years, and I've won a few myself. I don't think that there was anybody who I've ever seen happier to be at the Saturn Awards than Tom Cruise. He was like a kid in a candy store seeing all these people. I mean, James Cameron was there, George Lucas was there, Guillermo del Toro was there, and the person who had the biggest smile on his face was Tom Cruise. And I would have thought he would have come and left. He stayed there for the majority of the show. Nobody was jumping up and down cheering for people more than he was. I think it would be a great move for him. You know, he's already had, I mean, what do you do next if you're Tom Cruise? And the thing about this movie, the thing that it's most analogous to is Top Gun Maverick. Because Top Gun came out 4 years after Conan did. Now, let's just say, look, Conan the Destroyer, not such a great movie. The second Conan movie.
I enjoyed it, but you're right. It nowhere near as good as the original.
But the first Conan.
Bambata.
The first Conan, and at the end of that movie, when you saw old Conan on his throne and Mako, you know, these are the days of high adventure. I think the world wants this movie. I think that people would love to see this movie, and I think it's the kind of movie where if somebody like a Tom Cruise, and why wouldn't he? Reteaming up with Chris McQuarrie again on a movie that, by the way, they'll keep the budget down. They don't need to have, the original Conan was mostly all practical effects.
Well, Arnold's talking big. He specifically said going to be big budget for this movie.
Absolutely, but the first Conan was like, you know, a fraction of what they make movies for today. But I really do think, and I think if Tom Cruise played the villain, come on. Tom Cruise as the villain in this, and Chris McQuarrie writes and directs.
Tom Cruise has like 6 other films lined up right now.
I know.
Tom Cruise can do anything, but why wouldn't he? Because nobody's interested in Conan. I mean, that's, again, I'm bringing up numbers. I'm putting
I know.
stats on the screen.
I know.
And the numbers say people aren't interested.
But I think
I am.
Yeah, I am too. I think that with the team in place, with it being a 20th Century Studios production, with Steve Asbell overseeing it, I think they'll make it work. I think.
Well, let me be on record and say I hope you're right, because I've been wanting to see this. I've been wanting to see King Conan for decades, like
Plus,
literally decades.
I have to quote my friend Rob G. Wouldn't it be cool if Wouldn't it be cool if they'd, I mean, I want to live in a world where they do an Unforgiven or Logan-esque King Conan movie. You know, where the old grizzled king and he's lost his kingdom, he comes back, and then you have somebody like Tom Cruise has never, I thought he was great as Lestat. I want to see him jump, and I'm not saying Tom Cruise is even going to be in this movie. I'm just assuming, you know, why wouldn't he be? Because this would be the coolest thing.
Because he's got 100 other movies he could be in that's going to make far more money.
I don't know, man. You put Tom Cruise in this movie, and people are gonna, and you let him chew the scenery. You let him be the Les Grossman of that world of Conan's world.
Grossman of the ancient era.
I mean, it's not, but not the funny Les Grossman. I think Tom Cruise playing a villain in like some long black wig, throwing a sword around. I mean, that would be dope.
I put up a poll in our user chat, just asking our viewers, do we think
I can see
King
it now.
Conan will actually get made? 56% say no, 44% say yes, which I'll be honest, is closer than I thought it would be.
Come on, jump on in for the big win.
And that's 57%
yes.
no. That's 58% no. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I don't believe there's any chance this movie's going to get made, but
impossible.
I'm on the train of saying I would love for it to happen. I'll go see it for sure. But what do you guys think? The numbers seem to suggest against it. The heartstrings seem to want it. Do you think this King Conan movie will actually happen? It's one thing to say we're looking at it and they're writing it. By the way, just to be clear, it's not greenlit. But do you think it'll get to that place where maybe it will? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Sorry, somebody said in the live chat, Conan O'Brien should be in it. Anyway. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, last weekend, it was a good news, bad news situation for Scream. On the good news, it set a franchise record, a very impressive number for an opening weekend. I think it was somewhere around 66 million it made. Whatever. It had a phenomenal opening weekend for a movie. 66 doesn't sound so big.
63.
But 63?
Yeah.
Still great.
Yeah.
For a franchise like this and for a movie that is the highest they've ever had, excellent. The bad news, of course, is it's one of the worst films ever made in Hollywood history. It really is an abomination that should never have been made. But hey, it made a lot of money and shows that there's still some legs in the franchise. And, it's a franchise that I like a few of the films in it, and I'll look forward to seeing what they do in the next one. Well, one of the things I said, if you remember last week, said, I bet you it'll be the biggest second weekend drop-off in the franchise's history. That'll have a massive second weekend drop-off. The second weekend drop-off was bigger than even I thought. As is being reported in headlines like this, Scream 7 suffers the franchise's worst second week drop despite record opening. Had about a 73% drop. Now, we talk about sky is falling when films have over a 60% drop. Unless they open to like $150 million, in which case that means so many people went to go see it opening weekend that, of course, it had a bigger than normal second. But I mean, when you get into 65% drop off range, just think, Scream has suffered the worst drop off, second weekend drop off in the franchise's history. And if you count all wide release films over the last 5 years, the 9th worst second weekend drop off in 5 years. In 5 years. Had a worse second weekend drop off, or at least roughly the same as Morbius. Now, the good news for Scream is it already made so much money opening weekend. This movie's going to end up being profitable. And, you know, people get confused and I say, I look forward to seeing what they do with Scream 8, considering I hated Scream 7 so much. I think it's one of the 3 worst films in cinematic history. But I think it also opens an opportunity for a franchise that has better films and worse films. I think Scream 7 offers a learning opportunity that they can probably look at and say, you know what? Okay, this is where we messed up and this is where we messed up. Let's fine tune it. Let's make something better with 8. And I think they can do that. And Rob, this has been a franchise that has had ups and downs. Let's not pretend like there's never been a bad Scream movie. And they have shown they can then rebound and come out like, I think Scream 5, honestly, I think that's my favorite of the Scream movies. I really like the first one too. But like, you know, it can go up and down. Scream 7's one of the downs. I think they've shown they can rebound. It is still kind of shocking to see numbers like this, though. Anyway, Rob, you see these numbers and what it represents. What are your first thoughts?
Well, you know, front-loaded horror films have precipitous drops in their second weekend, so it's not surprising. You know, for a franchise like this, the diehards are going to be the ones to turn out first. Like my friend Alvaro. He couldn't wait for this movie. So I don't think, though, I think that the Scream franchise is still strong and certainly viable because it's surpassed, I think by now, hasn't it surpassed $100 million worldwide?
Oh, yeah.
No, this one, yes. And we talked last week about how, as of that opening, the franchise as a whole has now crossed $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's crossed
$1 billion. So I
dollars.
think that Scream 8 is all but assured. But yeah, it has had a precipitous drop. And I think, you know, because the film didn't have much more appeal beyond the diehard fan base. But they did turn out for it. So I would call it a win because it's not like these movies are hugely expensive. But it's still kind of a bummer when you see a film falter.
Yeah,
like that.
You're right. It's financially, it's a win. And again, I don't think if you're a fan of the franchise, you should fret too much over the absolute garbageness of Scream 7. Because again, it does this. It has shown multiple times it can rebound from a bad one. The unfortunate thing is because this movie's so bad, I think even if Scream 8 is good, it's going to suffer a little bit. But again, hey, listen, when you have a franchise that's been running over 20, 30 years, is that when the first Scream came out? It's going to happen. You're going to have your ups and downs, and Scream 7 was a down, but Scream 8 can be an up. And, but yeah, biggest drop in the franchise's history. Not a great thing. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, it had a great opening week, spectacular opening weekend, but kind of a predictable, massively disastrous second weekend fall off. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, one of the films that really caught my attention at CinemaCon a while back was Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. Now, one of the things I commented on was the trailers looked a little artsy, but I mean, listen, you got Jessie Buckley, you got Christian Bale, Jake Gyllenhaal, Maggie Gyllenhaal making her directorial debut. And I really liked the presentation they showed us at CinemaCon.
Yeah.
Now, I saw the movie last week, not a fan. I would not say I strongly disliked it, but it was a pretty kind of thing for me. Like, it tries to pose some really big philosophical questions like fate versus choice. The bride character at some point kind of faces its dilemma as like, I'm made for this, but do I choose this? Sort of thing is a part of it. And the whole kind of premise about starting with a disembodied spirit of whatever. Mary Shelley. I mean, it just ultimately, it was idea over execution for me. It was idea over execution. Great idea. Didn't quite know where to go with it. And by the end of it, I wasn't tremendously satisfied with it. Well, it just had... Now, I believe the production budget on this movie was $90 million. The marketing budget, they're saying, was $65 million. So that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's $155 million. multiply that by 1.5, and your break-even point ends up being $232 million you need to break even on this film. We all know you make the biggest weekend you're going to have is your opening weekend. The Bride opened in third place with $7.2 million opening weekend. $7.2 million. Worldwide, and by the way, that's in over 3,000 theaters. Worldwide, it has made $13.5 million. It's made $13.5 million. It needs $232 million to break even. Rob, anything can happen. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I've got a hot take. I don't think The Bride's going to break even. Just big hot take. Now, Variety wrote an interesting article called 5 Reasons The Bride Was Dead on Arrival at the Box Office. And I'm going to go through some of these and tell you whether I agree or disagree with the points they raise. We're going to start off with the first one. An inauspicious release date. Basically pointing out that the original release date for The Bride was back in October 3rd, around Halloween time. A more choice release window for horror types of films. But we all know they moved the release to try to create more space between it and the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie. Kind of understandable. Do I think this would have made more money had it opened in October? Probably. And honestly, I think it might have benefited from opening close to Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein because it would have put Frankenstein on the brain. Do I think it would have significantly increased the money it made? I do not. I'm thinking instead of a $7 million opening, maybe you have an $11 million opening. But I do think it maybe could have worked. So that's the one thing Variety points to. The other thing that they point to is too much Frankenstein, too little time. Again, I don't know that I agree with this. I don't think Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein necessarily hurt The Bride because it was such a radically different take and everything. So I get it. I get why they would mention it, but I don't necessarily agree. The other thing they mentioned is budget's gone wild. Now, listen. The budget of the film did not hurt its opening weekend box office. It just hurts that the opening weekend box office is such a far cry away from the budget. Again, a $90 million budget, not even counting the very important marketing part of that, which added, again, I think it was around $65 million to the marketing at any rate. So budget is the reason they're going to lose money, but budget isn't the reason not many people went to go see it. People don't care what the budget is when they're deciding to go see a movie. Another one is not a bad point. A press tour that forgot to sell the movie. You know, the prize gem of this movie is Jessie Buckley, but she has spent a lot of her time doing what she needs to do, going out doing the Oscar tour and doing all the Oscar bump for her nomination, and eventually she's going to win on Sunday for Hamnet. Maggie Gyllenhaal spent more time talking about the problems they had with the movie. It was not memorable. And listen, you know, I pop up my YouTube feed, and a lot of times, like for instance, my YouTube feed is filled with Ryan Gosling doing this talk show, talking about Project Hail Mary. I see that stuff all the time. I never saw one thing about anybody doing any memorable interviews for The Bride. I didn't see one single Christian Bale interview. I'm not saying he didn't do any.
No,
I'm just saying
did.
They were never promoted enough or high profile enough that it came across anywhere. So they didn't do a great job with the press tour part of it. And ultimately, this is, I think, the biggest reason. Audience rejection. The audience gave it a C+ grade on CinemaScore. You don't often see a C+ grade on CinemaScore. That's pretty low for CinemaScore. That's really bad. I would throw in one more thing. Again, because the audience doesn't know if it's good or bad until they go see it. And nobody went to go give it a chance. The one thing that Variety didn't mention that I would throw in there is there were no trailers that were, for lack of a better term, Rob, 4-quadrant trailers I get it. It's tough to make those for a movie that is clearly not a 4-quadrant movie, but we have seen other movies do stuff like that. Like they'll put out some populist trailers. A lot of the trailers, if not all the trailers for The Bride, have been very artsy. I've liked them myself. Great. So you got me. But I think they also they should have put in the effort to make at least one kind of more standard populist trailer. Highlight Christian Bale, highlight some of the violence, highlight that sort of thing. Would it have made all the difference in the world? Probably not. We're probably talking about, instead of a $7 million opening, maybe a 12 or 13 or $14 million opening, which still wouldn't be good. But I think, Rob, the list of things to blame are long. And dare I say, if I was to reach back into the spirit of Three Amigos, I would say there is a plethora of reasons why this thing probably flopped. But anyway, Rob, I never expected this movie to do great, but I didn't expect to see a $7 million opening weekend, especially on the same weekend that a lot of people went up to go see Hoppers. Hoppers had the biggest opening weekend for a Pixar original film in almost 10 years. So good for it. But anyway, Rob, your take on this. What did you think?
Well, John, I was very excited to see this movie. I was excited like you since last CinemaCon. I thought the trailers and I thought the lead up to it. And when I saw this movie, I really didn't like it. Now, Maggie Gyllenhaal's first film, The Lost Daughter, I think got 3, maybe, Academy Award nominations or something.
I liked it.
I did too. But that was a $5 million movie. I thought that this film, and this is, I'm not throwing shade at Maggie Gyllenhaal, but she was way out of her league on this one. This movie needed Ken Russell to direct it. It needed to be some kind of, before the movie started, they showed a trailer, because we saw it in IMAX. They showed a trailer for Ken Russell's Tommy from the 70s, the rock opera that The Who wrote. That's this total phantasmagoria. If you haven't seen it, it's an amazing film. And I'm like, I was all prepped, like, how cool is it they're showing the rock opera Tommy trailer, because they're showing it in IMAX before The Bride. And when I saw The Bride, it just didn't know what it wanted to be. First, I thought the script was weak. I thought it had 45 different ideas all competing. And there was all these really interesting ideas that were underdeveloped. And I understood it was trying to be this sort of, in a way, feminist anthem. And yet it was a horror film. And at first, it was really like, when you first met Christian Bale, he was kind of like the sad sack. I've been alive for 100 years. It was one thing. This movie was not fun to watch. I was watching this movie waiting for it to get fun. This movie should have been fun. It's The Bride, ! I kept waiting for that movie. And it wasn't like that. And it was, it went around, it didn't have scope. I think that Maggie Gyllenhaal, what she needed was somebody to help her come in and collaborate with a writer that could have really amped up the material and refined her ideas. And the fact is, she had way too much money. This movie should not have been $80-90 million.
Never should have been at this budget.
This movie should have been made for $25 million. It should have been like, it had A24 energy in it. I mean, look, the sets are lavish, but everybody was like acting like they were in a different movie. Every time they added a new character to the film, they were like from a different movie. It seemed like they were coming in. There was no cohesion here. This film needed, again, Maggie Gyllenhaal has made one movie. This was a film that was asking, and look, I give her all the credit in the world for shooting for the fences, but her grasp was too, she didn't have the reach. And I feel bad. And when I saw that, when it was over, this movie made me feel bad because I wanted it to be so much better, and it had elements. It just didn't work.
Yeah, the best way I know how to think about The Bride, and again, there are things about it I enjoyed. By the way, Jessie Buckley, like, it's one thing to give a great performance in a great movie like she does in Hamnet. It's another thing to give a great performance that is very recognizable as a great performance in a not so great movie. The way I kind of said it to somebody was that it was all ingredients without a recipe. That's kind of what The Bride felt like. Now, listen, I'm going to continue to watch Maggie Gyllenhaal as a director with great interest.
If she ever gets to direct again.
She will. She absolutely will. I don't know that she'll be given a $100 million movie to move forward with on this. But yeah, it's really a shame because, again, it was just, You know what you said? It just needed to bake longer in the scripting phases, because it's just there's so many concepts and ideas and themes they try to throw in there that never gives you a sense of. There are ideas and themes that seem like they were there just to be there, not because they added to the overall shape of the tapestry they were trying to put together, and it made it feel disjointed.
I mean, the central conceit that you meet Mary Shelley in the afterlife.
Yeah, right from the get-go, I never thought that was necessary.
And then, but if they had done it in a different way, like Mary Shelley in the afterlife was kind of like Salieri in Amadeus, when you would keep coming back to her, and she's filling in but when she's actually possessed, so you have the undead bride brought back to life that also has the disembodied essence of Mary Shelley in her, and in some scenes, Jessie Buckley, in a brilliant performance, was switching between Mary Shelley and this other woman in mid-scene, and I was like, well, how's that working? Like, I get it. So she's undead, so she was possessed by the soul of. I mean, it would have been interesting if she was Mary Shelley the whole time. I mean, I'm watching this going, what am I supposed to take away from this? It was aggravating to watch.
Yeah, and I'm still not sure what the answer to that is.
I don't either,
to be honest with you. And the result was a $7 million opening for a movie that needs about $230 million to break even. This is going to be a hard one for everybody to swallow. At any rate, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you surprised? Listen, I wasn't expecting huge things, but I wasn't expecting to see $7 million for it either. What do you attribute the lack of success and the lack of people being interested in going to go see it? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, under the category of movies that get announced that make me go, but then get more and more excited about it as we actually start getting a little bit closer to it, you can put under that the new Lord of the Rings movie, The Hunt for Gollum. I'm actually getting more and more interested. You know, I saw an interview with Peter Jackson recently too, and like it just seems like his passion for this, because, you know, the Hobbit experience for him just killed him. It just drained him. I think he got killed by it before they even started shooting The Hobbit, because you remember it went through this long drawn out drama. It got delayed multiple times. And then Guillermo del Toro, who's supposed to direct them, had to walk because the schedule so misaligned then. Peter had to step in to direct them himself. It just did not have the same creative energy or fire. It feels like they're back. And you guys will remember a little while ago, Ian McKellen said at a conference, doesn't know that he was supposed to say it, but he basically announced to the world he was coming back to play Gandalf again. And he's going to be playing Gandalf in The Hunt for Gollum with Peter Jackson and his partners writing the script and producing the film. And of course, Andy Serkis, who was Peter Jackson's second unit director, is now directing it. Well, now there's another person kind of speaking up and hinting he'll be back, and that's Elijah Wood as Frodo. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Elijah Wood hints that he will reprise his role as Frodo Baggins in The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. Wood suggested he might return to the role in Andy Serkis' prequel. I certainly wouldn't want anybody else to play Frodo as long as I'm alive and able. The article writes the following. Elijah Wood doesn't want anybody else to play Frodo and might be returning himself as the iconic fantasy character. In a new interview with The Times UK, Wood was directly asked if he would appear in the Warner Brothers' upcoming The Lord of the Rings prequel movie, The Hunt for Gollum, which is directed by Gollum actor Andy Serkis. Wood is described as breaking into a grin at the question, and he said this. It hasn't been officially announced, but at a convention last August, Ian McKellen sort of let the cat out of the bag, he says, referring to actor Ian McKellen confirming his own return as Gandalf the Grey. Because you remember, when he said that, he also maybe kind of implied that Elijah Wood would as well. Talking about his return as Gandalf the Grey. So there is a good chance I'm not able to officially say anything until it's announced, but I will say I'm thrilled with the prospect of another film. It's always a little nerve-wracking when people talk about new movies for a world like Middle-earth. Everyone gets a little protective and hopes it remains its level of integrity, but this story is fun, thrilling. There is a genuine feeling of getting the band back together. I'm just excited. All right. I don't see any way to read this other than he just basically said he's coming back. I mean, I think that pretty much settles it. He is coming back. He's going to be in the movie. Again, look, this just has a different feel to it than The Hobbit did as we were going up to The Hobbit. I think when we were leading into The Hobbit, a lot of us were excited, but also had this little weird spidey sense going off. Like, something's not right, especially once they announced that they were splitting by far the shortest book into 3 films.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a big red alert as well. But this just feels different. The more we're reading, the more we're understanding who's actually behind it, the more we're seeing the pieces coming together. I got to say, I'm getting more legitimately excited for this thing. I really am, to see how it all comes together. And I think bringing back Elijah Wood would be a great move. I mean, again, as a Hobbit, you can really make him up however you want. It doesn't really matter all that much. But anyway, Rob, you read this. Good idea to bring him back. Bad idea. Is this playing just member berries, or do you think this will actually add to the overall interest people have in it?
Well, I think that it will add to the overall interest. I mean, Elijah Wood was so great in Lord of the Rings. I just don't think that, like, in this particular story, Frodo obviously doesn't play a big role. And again, the story is, even in Lord of the Rings, is a very slight mention. This is not exactly a fleshed out thing, but it'll be interesting to see the kind of story that they decide to tell. And I'm hoping that, unlike War of the Rohirrim, which left something to be desired, and the Hobbit movies being as what they were, I'm really hoping they've had a lot of time to really work on the script for this and refine it. And I hope they make something special. I really do, because I think, and having Andy Serkis, no one knows Gollum better than Andy Serkis, and him directing. He's got his Animal Farm animated film that he directed coming out from Angel Studios, which is interesting. And he's learned a lot, directing Venom and directing the other movies that he's worked on. So I would expect that he's really learned how to hone his craft, and I hope they come up with something great. Fran and Philippa and Peter working on that script together, and I'm excited, like you. My excitement level is increasing, and having Frodo come back just adds to that.
The real question is will he wear wigs? That's the real question.
Now, look, here's the other thing. When this came up, I already see the discussions popping up about, well, if they can bring Elijah Woods back, why can't they bring Viggo Mortensen back? And listen, I love, because guess what? I did the math. Elijah Woods is, to the day, the same amount older than he was when he did Lord of the Rings as Viggo Mortensen is. I did the math, Rob. Lines up. He's every bit as much older than he was before as Viggo Mortensen is. There is 2 major differences, though. Elijah Wood is only 45 years old. He's only 45 and barely looks like he's aged. Yeah. That dude is drinking unicorn blood. Look at him. He's like barely aged. I mean, he's still doing the conference. Yeah, he's still doing all the conferences and everything. He really has not aged much. Viggo, on the other hand, who is brilliant, but he's approaching 70, like he's 67, 68 years old.
Just missed it.
He looks significantly older.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks significantly different than he did. Of course he does. When you're going to look different at 67 than you did at 37. I mean, you just are. And so I'm totally fine. Ian McKellen was supposed to be the old Gandalf the Grey anyway, so he's barely going to look different at all. Frodo's not going to look that much different at all. They're not going to have to do much. But I think, for Strider, I think you got to get a different actor. And that is no shade on Viggo Mortensen, who is brilliant, but you can't do a prequel to Lord of the Rings with a 67 right now, 68-year-old Viggo Mortensen. So anyway, I love the sound of this. And again, Rob, like I said, I've moved from kind of indifferent to the idea. I was never against the idea of The Hunt for Gollum. I've just been kind of indifferent. But as the months move on, I gotta say I'm getting more and more interested.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, he's not being very subtle about it. Elijah Wood is basically implying he's coming back for The Hunt for Gollum, even using the phrase, we're getting the band back together. Good idea, bad idea, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. The Oscars are this Sunday. By the way, there's a conversation that has to be had that there is no bloody reason the Oscars should be in frickin' March. They should not be in March at all. Early February at the latest, I think. We're now like over 3 months since the year we're awarding has ended. Anyway, that's a separate thing. But we do have the Oscars coming up this Sunday. Very excited. And the race has gotten tighter. Because this weekend, the last of the big major awards prior to the Oscars happened. It was the WGA, the big ones for writing. And it looks like it's getting tighter and tighter for the Best Picture race because Sinners and One Battle After Another walked away with the big prize. The Hollywood Reporter reports that Sinners won Best Original Screenplay and One Battle After Another won Best Adapted Screenplay. And I think at this point, it's become pretty clear that's how it's going to shake out at the Oscars as well. Sinners is going to win Best Original Screenplay. One Battle is going to win Best Adapted Screenplay. But it's really highlighted, Rob, it looked like for a while that the Oscars was a 2-horse race for Best Picture. One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme, which I did not like at all. Loved Timothée Chalamet's performance, but I did not like the movie. But that seemed to be it. It was going to come down to One Battle After Another or Marty Supreme. But as the months have progressed, Sinners, which is my personal favorite film of the year, I love One Battle After Another too, but Sinners is my personal favorite, has kind of climbed its way back into that fight. Just recently at the SAG Awards, they call it the Actor Awards now, but that's a dumb name, so I'm going to continue to call it the SAG Awards. At the SAG Awards, they won Best Ensemble, and Michael B. Jordan won Best Lead over Timothée Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio. And now with the WGAs here, they've kind of now replaced Marty Supreme in that 2-horse race. And it looks like Sinners, Rob, I've never wanted to say it, but as it being my favorite film of the year, I actually think there's a chance it could win Best Picture now. I really do. I still think the money is on One Battle After Another. Let's be clear. If you had pressed me on it right now and I had to guess which film is going to win Best Picture, my guess would still have to be One Battle After Another, and well deserved. It's an incredible film. But I think over the months, my little favorite, Sinners, has gotten itself into this race. And I at least feel comfortable, Rob, saying I think it is now a 2-horse race for Best Picture. I think it's either going to be Sinners or One Battle After Another, especially coming out of the WGAs. By the way, on the television side, for comedy, The Studio won big. And obviously on the drama side, The Pit won big, which is remarkable again this season. Anyway, Rob, are you surprised by the results of the WGA Awards? And do you agree or disagree with me that Sinners has fought its way into the 2-horse race? I don't know. How do you see this?
No, the WGA Awards didn't surprise me. And I think Sinners has a lot of love going for it. And of course, I love the film too, but I think it does have the one problematic element for the Academy, at least, is that it does become kind of a genre film. You know, it's a twofer. You've got this really interesting look at that area of the world and that particular time and the immigrant experience and the Black experience and the Native American experience, the indigenous people's experience. I loved all that. And then it turns into, you know, a horror movie, a vampire movie, which, by the way, I loved. But the Academy sometimes shies away from overt genre stuff like that. You know, if it has highbrow performances like Silence of the Lambs, then you can surpass that. So that's the only thing I would think about. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of love, because the thing about Sinners is it's really fun to watch. It's a really good movie. And it's less of a chore. Like, I like One Battle After Another. but Sinners goes down a little easier. You know, when you watch it, I've watched Sinners a lot more times than I would care to admit. And I think it is back in the conversation. And I think, you know, there's a little controversy. I don't know when the voting is over with, but Marty Supreme and Timothy Chalamet ran into some trouble when he was having his conversation.
Nobody, you know what? Okay, can I just say this about that whole thing? Nobody actually cares. Everybody's trying to pretend like it's a big controversy.
Oh,
that
I
Timothy
didn't think it was a big
Chalamet-
controversy, but it's, you know, it started up.
Nobody cares about. And by the way, the Oscar voting is over anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But well, you know, we'll see. Who knows? I don't know. But I like you. I thought Marty Supreme was really well made, and I thought his performance is amazing, and it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. But again, I think that one battle after another in Sinners is definitely back in that conversation. And I wouldn't have thought, because here's the thing, you know, a lot of people do catch up via screeners and things they haven't seen. And if you're watching movies and comparing and contrasting them, you know, Sinners has a big up because it is so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
It is a wildly entertaining movie. I mean, the cinematography, it's just lush. It's fun. And does it have one of those great universal messages like other Best Pictures, say like Gandhi had, or I brought up Amadeus? No. But that doesn't mean that in today's climate that it's not going to perhaps pull out an upset win.
Yeah, no, listen, I said after the SAG Awards that, like, Coogler may have a shot, or not Coogler, sorry, Michael B. Jordan may actually have a shot at Best Actor. But I'm just going to, just for the record, let's be clear. If he does, it's not going to be because Timothy Chalamet mentioned not many people are interested in ballet and opera.
Although I do think it's funny how he's getting a bunch of tickets now to go to see the ballets and the operas.
Because guess what? Nobody does care about ballet and opera. They don't. Statistically speaking, very few people go to see ballet and opera.
Well, right. Well, it's hard. It's hard to see.
He never said they suck.
No.
He never said you're stupid if you go to ballet and opera. He said nobody goes to see ballet and opera. Is he wrong? I present to you that he is not wrong. He's absolutely
it's just a different.
right.
It's different. It's not the populist. It used to be a populist art form. It's different
Yes.
now. I mean, opera used to be the equivalent of what movies are today. It's just things change.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying there's nothing to like about ballet and opera. It's certainly not for me, and I don't care about it, and that's fine. There's lots of things I don't care about that don't necessarily aren't popular and good and have value to them at all. But the statistical data is clear. Not many people go to ballet and opera. That's a fact. You can't argue it. That's a fact. And I'm just one of those people.
There are some great operas, and I've seen some good. You know,
There's some absolutely.
I
Great
saw a
operas,
ballet called Coppelia when I was a kid, and I loved it because it was basically about a robot. It was about a mechanical girl.
I mean, I'm more of a musical guy myself, but I mean, whatever. There's little things for everybody.
Come on, Wagner. Das Rheingold. Gute Dämmerung.
I think Jordan has a shot at winning. I'm just saying, if he does win, it won't be because Timothy Chalamet pointed out not many people go to ballet and opera.
Yeah, I don't think
that's not going to move the needle. But
Tosca.
Whatever you guys think about this, do you think that Sinners has fought its way into the actual Best Picture legitimate shot at winning conversation? I kind of think it has. I would still probably put my money on one battle, but for the first time, I feel like my favorite film of the year may actually have a shot. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, we got announcements back at D23 that Disney was going to do Incredibles 3. Brad Bird ain't directing it, apparently. That's okay, because we got the director from Elemental coming in, which is amazing, because Elemental was incredible. I'd rather Brad Bird, but if you're going to get somebody else, and you got to get somebody else, bring in the director from Elemental. Why not? They also kind of was a little bit talks of another Monsters, Inc., maybe even another Coco, but now it's official. As Deadline is reporting, Monsters, Inc. 3 is in development, and Incredibles 3 now has a release year in 2028, and Coco 2 has a release year with 2029. They are coming. They're on their way. It's now official. I'm not going to lie. I did kind of suspect that we'd hear or not hear about these ones, that maybe one or two of these movies they just stopped mentioning and it doesn't actually happen. But it looks like they're moving forward with Monsters, Inc. 3, Incredibles 3, and Coco 2. With Monsters, Inc., that's the most interesting one to me. I didn't know if there was room for another Monsters, Inc., especially after Monsters University, which I didn't think was great. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I liked Monsters University. Wasn't anywhere near the quality of Monsters, Inc., but I guess they still think they've got a shot. I mean, Billy Crystal's still around. John Goodman's still here. Why not? Go back to it. And if you've got a great idea, and that's the thing about Pixar, Rob, they never do sequels just for doing the sequels. At Pixar, it always comes from, hey, listen, if somebody comes to the table with a great idea, doesn't matter if we said we'd never do another one of those again. If someone comes to the table and they've got a creative table and they've got what they consider to be a great idea, they go, you know what? Let's do it. Clearly they had one for Monsters, Inc. Obviously, I'm extremely excited for Incredibles 3. I love the Incredibles, both of them. I love the second one. And Coco 2 is one of these movies where I don't see a narrative reason to do it, but they're not doing it unless they came up with a great idea. And you know what? I just love the family so much, and I love the characters so much. I would happily go into a movie theater again for 2 hours and 15 minutes just to spend time with those characters again.
Coco was an amazing movie.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I didn't think it looked very good. I did not think that movie looked very good. And like, I think I said when I came out of it, I am not an expert in Mexican culture. I am as much an expert in Mexican culture as Taco Bell is an expert in Mexican cuisine. Not very much. But I walked out of it feeling like I was an honorary Mexican coming out of it. Like, it's just so, it draws you in. It's so beautiful. The cultural aspects are so great, and it's touching and it's moving, and I'm all for it. Now, that being said, I have already started to see a lot of the conversations of, well, I mean, why all these sequels? Why are they doing all these sequels? Like, why can't they do originals? Why does it always have to be, you know, all this stuff? And you know what? I get it. I get it. But there's a reason that they're doing these sequels. Because for all you guys who keep saying, oh, Disney and Pixar never do anything original anymore. What's going on? By the way, Hoppers is in theaters right now.
I really liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I didn't think it was one of Pixar's best, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I had some good laughs.
It was wacky.
But for those people who I continue to hear about Disney and Pixar animation, they don't do anything original anymore. You want to know why there's been a bit of a focus on sequels lately? It's because of you and because of me, to be honest. Here's why Disney, let's jump over to the Campea classroom for a second. This is why Disney is focusing on sequels right now. From 2020 to 2023, 9 of the 10 Pixar and Disney animated films that came out were all original. The only one that wasn't was Lightyear. And that was practically original because it was a made-up story. It was the movie Andy went to go see of Buzz Lightyear that made him want a Buzz Lightyear toy. So it's kind of original, but we'll say it isn't. But let's look at the list of films they did. This is their streak. All original except for Lightyear, which I highlighted. Onward, which I really liked, made $141 million. Onset of the pandemic affected it, no doubt, but it is what it is. Soul, Luca, and Turning Red. Again, Bob Chapek era numbskullery, stupidity, dropping those things directly on streaming, especially Turning Red. What a dumb... That's one of the best movies Disney or Pixar Animation has put out in a long time. Turning Red was amazing. Anyway.
I thought Soul was amazing.
Soul was amazing. Luca was really good. It's my least favorite of the three, but Luca's... Anyway, Raya and the Last Dragon was quite good. It was quite good. I'm not going to say spectacular, but it was a quite good movie. $116 million. Encanto, which was really good, $256 million. Strange World was not good. Not good. It made $73 million. Elemental was fantastic. Made the most on this list. Should have made a lot more.
Yep.
$496 million. And Wish, which was not good. Kind of wish that movie had never been made. But that one only went on to make $238 million. So if you're going to ask the question, why is Disney and Pixar Animation doing so many sequels right now? I feel like doing that guy who, the TikTok memes. Original. Nobody went to go to support them. Nobody went to go support them. Now, juxtapose that. What were the last two movies that came out before this big original streak? Well, the last two movies that came out right before the big original streak was Toy Story 4, that made $1.07 billion, and Frozen 2, which made $1.45 billion. Then after that, they did all the originals and nobody wanted to see it. Okay, what about since all those originals? Well, the two movies they've done since all those originals, not including Hoppers, Inside Out 2, which made $1.69 billion, and Moana 2, which made $1.05. You want to ask the question, why is Disney and Pixar Animation doing a lot of sequels? I present to you numbers.
The FBI.
Oh, and don't forget, I didn't even include in this Zootopia.
I was going to say Zootopia is like the biggest.
Didn't even include Zootopia on this sequel. That's why. Now listen, this does not undermine the importance of original. You cannot have a Zootopia 2 sequel without an original Zootopia. You cannot have a Moana 2 without an original Moana. You cannot have an Inside Out 2 if you do not have an original Inside Out. All these sequels came from them making originals. But it's still crazy to me how much talk I always keep hearing of people who think they sound like they're artistic by saying, why are there so many sequels? Why? Well, here's why.
Because you don't go see the originals, dude.
Because y'all don't go see the originals and everybody goes to see the sequels. By the way, Inside Out, kicked ass. Zootopia 2, I liked it better than Zootopia 1. Moana 2 was not as good as the first Moana. Toy Stories continue to kill it. Frozen 2 was really good. I mean, they just can. So that's why. So don't say they're not doing originals, because guys, I got a list of 10 films right here. Original, Lightyear. Original. They're doing them. So I think Monsters, Inc. 3 is going to make money. I know Incredibles 3 is going to make money. And I suspect that Coco 2 will make money. And you might be saying to yourself, John, it's not all about money. See, that's where you're wrong, sport. Because money represents people who want to go see it. Money is not some living, breathing thing walking around. There's not a $20 bill running up to an AMC box office.
That'd be cute, though.
It would be cute. Every dollar represents actual people who are like, I want to go see that, and run to the box office and go see it. So I think all three of these are good ideas. It's not like they're not continuing to feed the farm system, to use a sports analogy. They're peppering a lot of originals in there too. We've got more Pixar originals coming, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think these are all three really good moves. Anyway, Rob, you see this, the three movies mentioned. What do you think?
Well, the thing about Pixar movies, though, is the time they put into developing the stories. The reason their sequels hit when they hit so hard is because they spend twice as much time as anyone else does in developing those stories.
Yeah.
They work them, and when you get an Inside Out 2, or you get a Toy Story 2 started life as a direct-to-video sequel.
Yes, it did.
And so they
accidentally deleted, and because a Pixar employee happened to have an extra hard drive at her house, the movie was saved.
I hope
Yeah.
you got a big bonus.
Well, and the thing is, that's what I think is really important. When it comes right down to it, like you said, it ain't show friends, it's show business. And everybody makes sequels because they make money. People will show up. The problem is, it all comes down to ideas and execution. You know, there have not been a lot of truly horrible movies that have made tons of money in Hollywood. I'm sure someone will come right out and have one right now. But even horrible movies that people go see, there is a want to see. The public wanted to see them. That's why they paid money to go. But the thing is, Pixar sequels are the rare sequels that sometimes can surpass the original. More often than not. I've somebody on Medium does a thing called statistical analysis. They'll do I bet if you, I don't think they've ever done this, but to compare and contrast the creative success of Pixar sequels to other sequels has to be pretty high. Because Pixar sequels, I'm still waiting for Bug's Life 2. Did they ever do a Bug's Life 2? That wasn't
I don't think they did,
to
no.
video. Why not? Come on.
Too late now, I think.
You know what? Bugs Life 2 will come out the same year as King Conan. But I think that I think that's why. And Pixar 2 really knows how to make those sequels. And that's why if they come up with ideas, they'll make them. I mean, how long did it take for Incredibles 2 to come out?
Far
a long
too
time.
Yeah, it took a long time.
So look, if when Pixar says they're making a sequel, I get excited. Because more often than not, they have succeeded and sometimes exceeded the first movie in the franchise.
I'm trying to think of a Pixar sequel that I straight up did not like.
I wasn't as fan of Cars 3 as I might have wanted
Well,
to
you know
be.
what? The whole Cars franchise
I know.
is kind of an outlier. I mean, I'm not a big fan of any of the Cars movies, to be honest with you. But outside of Cars, like, I didn't like Monsters University as much as Monsters, Inc., but I still liked it. I certainly did not like Moana 2 as much as Moana, but I still liked it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to think of one that I like straight up did not like outside of the Cars franchise. And I honestly can't think of one. I've loved all the Toy Story movies.
Yep.
I mean, I love the two Incredibles movies. I love the Inside Out movies. So, you know what? The creative forces at Pixar have earned the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
And we'll see where they go. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It is now in concrete. We got Monsters, Inc. We got Coco 2. We got Incredibles 3. They've got release dates kind of circled on their calendars right now. Do you think it's a good idea to make these? Do you think they're just obsessing too much with sequels? Do you think, like me, no, they do a perfectly good balance of original sequels? I don't know. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, it's time for us to move on and take your comments and questions. Just so you know, for these guys who are watching live, we have turned off the super chats, just so you're aware. But before we get to your live comments, we've got two things we got to do. First of all is bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
And we also are going to take a second here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends doing great work over at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You know, March is a time when we celebrate the women in our lives and recognize everything they carry every single day. Women often take on a lot, and sometimes their own well-being gets pushed to the side. And it's a great reminder of how much women give to the people in their lives. So this month is a great time to pause and reflect on the roles that you carry and the pressures that can come with them. Therapy can be a helpful space to work through those challenges, create balances, and set healthy boundaries so you can take care of yourself too. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp connects people with licensed therapists who follow a strict code of conduct. With over 30,000 therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp has an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for live sessions based on 1.7 million client reviews. They also match you with a therapist based on a short questionnaire, and if your first match isn't the right fit, you can switch to another from their recommendations. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's betterhelp.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff. Your comments, questions, and observations. Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, we're going to hear from Raymond. Kelly MacDonald, the sheriff in Lanterns, is the voice of Merida in Pixar's Brave. Did Brave make a lot? I don't see a sequel for Brave. It was like $500 million.
Yeah, and Brave never caught on like a lot of the other stuff did. I mean, listen, I like Brave. I did, but I never found myself clamoring for a sequel. And it just, again, it never created the pop cultural footprint or made the impression or staying power that a lot of the other films did. So I don't expect we'll ever see one, to be honest. And I'm good. Again, I like the original film. Mm-hmm. I just don't see them feeling any sort of need to do another one.
We got Disney Gifts by Bryce. Hey, John, did you ever end up seeing Cold Storage? I'd love to know your thoughts. It was perfect, but had a lot of fun. Oh, it wasn't. I think you meant to say it wasn't perfect, but I had a lot of fun with it.
I can't remember which one was Cold Storage.
It's where they, it's where that virus is released, like in the basement or whatever, in their cold storage, and it's kind of like a take on zombie movies. It came and went. Rob really liked it. He thought it was really good.
No, I never did get around to seeing it, unfortunately.
Then we got Harv's K. Hoppers is a fun mid-tier Pixar film, but I do like how it didn't shy away from some surprisingly dark humor and how flawed our heroine was as she dealt with the messy consequences of her actions.
Yeah, you know, that, again, I agree with you. I think it's a quality mid-tier Pixar film. Like, not one of my favorite Pixar films, but quite enjoyable. But one of the things I really did appreciate about it is that even some Pixar films, but a lot of animated films is like, at the end of the day, our hero is always right. And the girl is wrong sometimes. And there's consequences to her mistakes that affect not just her, but people around her. And she grows and learns throughout of it. Yeah, again, one of my favorite Pixar films, no. But I love the way you put it. I'm in full agreement with the way you described it. A quality mid-tier Pixar film. Now, if you're a mid-tier Asylum film, that's not so good. But a mid-tier Pixar film is still really good company to be in. And I love the way you describe that, and I totally agree.
All right. Mashawn, we've been asked this a couple times. Hey, John, I can't wait for Dune 3. I'm going to rewatch Dune 1 and 2 this week. However, do I need to watch Dune Prophecy also, or is it not needed?
Not needed. Yeah. No. Dune Prophecy takes place, I can't remember how many hundreds or thousands of years prior to the events of Dune. It's really inconsequential. Listen, I was really excited about Dune Prophecy, and it's okay. It's okay. It's got some really irritating things about it. It's got a couple of really cool things about it. I'm looking forward to seeing the second season because hopefully, I trust that they'll identify the parts that didn't work, correct those, identify the parts that did work, double down on those. And I'm going to hope for a better second season, but I having watched season 1, I really don't think there's any need to watch it in order to watch the movies at all.
Edgar says, saw If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. What a movie. Sorry to hear it's not getting more Oscar attention. Rose was so good, and the film was very intense.
Yeah, I thought the movie was good. Like, I liked it. But Rose Byrne's incredible in it. Like, really great. I was surprised to see her name brought up so much in award season, but pleasantly surprised nonetheless. Like, she is absolutely fantastic. Again, I liked the film. I wasn't as enamored with it as, say, you were. But, yeah, she was absolutely fantastic in it.
Screen Speak. John, will you be starting the movie meetups schedule soon?
We're getting close. I mean, it didn't help the record snowfall in New York. Like, because one of the things I do not want to do is drive the van through winter. But that being said, we are now at just about getting close to the midway part in March. I'm thinking in April April is going to be tough because April is CinemaCon. Mm-hmm. The biggest event of the year for us by far. I mean, the Oscars are the most important event on the movie calendar for sure. But for us, CinemaCon's the most important event of the year. And we spend an entire week in Las Vegas and covering CinemaCon and all that kind of stuff. So, but probably in May. And I think the first trip is probably going to be the Boston area. When I say the Boston area, it might not be right in Boston, but it'll be, within a half hour, 45 minutes of Boston. So the Boston area, the New York area, and Columbus, Ohio. I think those are going to be the three that we do. I don't hold me to that, but that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. So maybe in May, we'll do the next leg, which will be Boston. And by New York, probably somewhere like an hour outside of New York. But Boston, New York, and Columbus, Ohio are probably going to be the three places we hit. All right, what's next?
Okay, Jake finished Project Hail Mary, the book, last week. One word, amaze. I couldn't be more thankful for the recommendation. Need this movie now.
I was talking to the guys before the movie started. I've got a friend of mine who's in one of the major guilds and has no affiliation with Project Hail Mary. None. And he got invited to go to a screening of Project Hail Mary. Now, me and Rob are going to see it on Friday, so just 4 days away. But he got to go to a special screening of it at what's it called? Is it the California Science Center, the LA Science Center, whatever it's called? But they've got an IMAX screen there.
Yeah.
Like a big one.
It's right by the new Lucas Museum that's going to be opening soon. Yeah.
And it's got they invited a bunch of people from the science community, but my friend was there too. And I remember, I might have said this during the beginning of the show. I can't remember, but my one friend, I did. I said this in the opening, but I'll repeat it again.
It is California Science Center.
California Science Center. My friend, who is just one person, whose movie tastes you may or may not agree with, but this one friend of mine who's in one of the guilds said it might be one of the best movies ever made. Now, granted, that's one guy's opinion. May not be my opinion, may not be yours, but I'm so excited for it, dude. All right, what's next?
Carlos says, I quite liked War Machine. DCU cast Alan Richson. Have you seen we talked about it.
I totally forgot about it. I liked the trailer. And then last night, me and Ann and a bunch of our friends and her sister, so my buddies Ryan and Tommy were over last night. And at one point in the evening, they kind of looked at me and said, John, have you watched War Machine yet? I'm like, no, I totally forgot that came out.
Yeah.
And they loved it. Like my buddies Tommy and Ryan, they loved it. So I'll probably try to get around and watch that today sometime because I love Alan Richson and I thought the trailer was really good. So yeah, I'll check it out. I just totally forgot it opened up.
Then we got Hayden who says, Marvel failed to move on properly from RDJ and Evans and has had to bring them back to try again. Do you think Star Wars should do the same with Luke?
No. Those are two very different situations. And by the way, while there is nothing official on paper, the passing of Chadwick Boseman did not just throw a wrench into Black Panther 2. Kevin Feige has never said this explicitly, so take this simply as an opinion from an average nobody film fan. I also think the passing of Chadwick Boseman threw a wrench into what the overall architectural plans were for the MCU moving forward. I think T'Challa was meant or was thought or was at least in part of the planning of what the future of the MCU was. The passing of the mantle, so to speak. Now, listen, I've been very critical of Marvel post-Endgame and how they've handled the new era. But at the same time, I also do want to recognize that the passing of Chadwick Boseman probably did muck things up a bit. The Luke thing is a totally different situation. It was a totally situation because you're talking about a guy who hadn't been Luke Skywalker for decades and decades and decades. That's not the situation with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. No, it is not time to bring Luke back. It is time to move forward. It is time to go into new parts of the galaxy, into new time eras, moving forward past the events of Star Wars, A New Hope, and past the events of the sequel trilogy. It's time to move on like it looks like they're doing with Star Wars Starfighter. But no, the answer right now is not to bring Luke back. That's just going to keep us buried in the past already. And I say this as somebody who Luke Skywalker is probably my favorite film character of all time. And obviously Star Wars is life to me. But the answer is not to bring back Luke.
Unless it's a
At
Force ghost.
Especially as a Force ghost.
You don't think?
No.
Why?
You got to move on.
No, I'm not saying it has to be the Skywalker family, but it does make sense that if you have a Jedi like 20 years from now in a Jedi temple reaching out to the Force, like one of those guys are going to show up.
But why? It doesn't have to be
It could be
Luke.
Obi-Wan.
It also, I mean, in the movies, they've only done it with people they've had personal connections with.
Well, that's true.
And I just think even having Luke in anything.
That's
is
why they
going
need to make the Rey movie. Just kidding.
It's going to stymie
Yeah. You can have a Force ghost to someone else or something.
the efforts to move the story forward and move beyond the Skywalker. They've got to move beyond the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
And I say this as somebody that those are my favorite movies of all time, but they have to move beyond them. They got to, yeah, bringing back Luke is definitely not the answer.
We got Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
I'm sorry if you've answered this. I haven't watched in a bit, but did you see Bone Temple? It's one of my favorites this decade. And P.S. Scream 7 sucked.
Yeah, Scream 7 was really bad. I finally got around to watching Bone Temple. It was better than 28 Years Later. I was actually disappointed with 28 Years Later. Like it was, I didn't think the movie was horrible by any sense. It had some really good things about it, but I was a little underwhelmed with 28 Years Later. I thought Bone Temple was a surprising step up. It's also got a definitive tone shift. Now that's probably also because they have like Nia DaCosta directed. They had a different director for it than 28 Years Later did. But yeah, I did. Now I'm not as in love with it as a lot of other people are, but I thought it was a definite improvement and I enjoyed it.
All right. We got Jedediah Elias Arnold says he's talked to Dan. Is it Trachtenberg or Trachtenberg?
I think the first way you said it.
Trachtenberg.
Yeah.
About appearing in the next Predator film. If it's a hit, will Arnold return to the big screen more often?
No, because this is already a successful franchise. If it's a hit, it's not going to be a hit because Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. And again, I just ran down, I brought up all the numbers. 10 years of the last 10 years of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Just ain't nobody wanted to go see any of that stuff. Again, I'll bring it up here again. Like, you look at this. Oh, I got the wrong. Here we go. I mean, nobody's wanted to go to see anything he's been in. Nobody's good. Like, people didn't rush out to go see Terminator again because Arnold was back. They're definitely not going to rush out to see Predator because Arnold's back. Like, I'm sorry, but the proof is in the numbers. We have precedent. And so if he does appear, and by the way, if he is in it, he ain't going to be the lead character. But if he does appear in another Predator film and it's a hit, it's not going to be because Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. It's going to be because he's been doing a great job laying the foundation of this new era of it and making really quality stuff that is gaining traction. And I'm ready for the next one to take a big jump up. But I think the next one's going to do well, whether Arnold's in it or not. So no, again, and I am somebody who worships at the altar of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Crom. But the numbers don't lie, guys. They don't lie. They are what they are, and it's unfortunate, but I'm going to think the answer is no. All right, what's next?
We got Ron with a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Ron.
One of my favorite old sports films was Youngblood.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves' Quebec accent was just plain horrible.
Yes, it was.
Who knew? Now I want to see it. Who knew there was a remake out now? I won't go to the theaters for it, but I'll check it out if it comes to stream. I didn't even know it was in theaters.
What?
Is it like in 10 theaters?
There's a Youngblood remake?
I'm going on box office. Hang on.
If it is, it's totally flown under my radar. As a hockey guy, it's flown under my radar.
This is 2025, so it would have come and gone already.
I didn't even know it existed.
Or if it's, I don't know.
Ron's saying in the live chat, yep, it's a remake. I had no idea. If somebody like me, who like spends all my days going through movie news, and somebody like me, who hockey is a religion, if I don't know about it, you didn't do a very good job making sure people know about it.
Let me read the synopsis. Well, it's not a synopsis, but it's just on box office. So Youngblood, Detroit hockey prodigy Dean Youngblood joins the Hamilton Mustangs, where his pride and prowess are tested.
It's my hometown,
yeah,
by
that's
the
why
way,
I wanted to read it.
Well,
all right.
Oh, well. Okay, what's next?
All right, the final four here. Carlos says, is Elordi too famous to be Bond? My pick is Cavill. I mean, Cavill's
Cavill's too old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that much. One of the things that we do know about the James Bond thing is that they're going to look for somebody in their early, like late 20s to mid 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Cavill is now approaching mid 40s. So actually, how old is Henry Cavill? He's in his 40s. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
Let me look it up here. Is Henry Cavill? Henry Cavill's 42. So listen, for the longest time, Cavill was my number one choice to play Bond. He was the runner-up to play Bond to Daniel Craig. In that movie, Man from U.N.C.L.E., it just reaffirmed that he should absolutely be the next Bond. And I would love for him to be the new Bond. But it's not going to be Henry Cavill because they've already kind of publicly stated what the age range they're looking for in. Now, as far as Elordi, no, I don't think there's no such thing as too famous to be Bond.
No.
I mean, they cast Pierce Brosnan, and he was one of their more successful Bonds.
Yeah. And he has a mature look about him.
Yeah.
Which I like.
I definitely do not think at all that... Now, I'm not saying I think Jacob Elordi is going to be the new Bond. I'm not saying he would necessarily be my first choice either. But he's absolutely... There's no such thing as being too famous to be Bond. Or anything like that. And I think he would be a perfectly good Bond. Again, not my first choice, and I don't necessarily think he'll be the guy, but if they did announce tomorrow that he was Bond, I'd be perfectly good with it, to be honest with you. I'd be perfectly fine with it. All right.
Carlos follows up and says, buy or sell Godfather 4 with Andy Garcia as the lead.
Sell. The Godfather's done.
We moved on.
Yeah, time to move on.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Jedediah says, if Moana does well, or how long till Pixar tries if LA Moana does well, how long till live action?
Guys, please do not write in acronyms.
Live action Moana does well. How long till Pixar tries live action?
I don't think Pixar has any interest in doing live action. Yeah. Pretty 100% sure they have no interest in doing live action, regardless of how successful or unsuccessful. Because listen, let's say Moana does well. Okay. Disney's done lots of live action adaptations of their things. You're not just going to go with one example. You have to look at the body of it, and it's hit and miss. It's not going to change Pixar's position. I don't think they have any intention of going into live action, and I don't think they should. I think there are Disney animated films that you can, but I don't think that you can with Pixar.
All right. Amjada says, this is our final one. If Timothy wins, he should belt out an Arya.
Yeah, again, this is the funny thing. This thing about him saying the truth, that not a lot of people are interested in opera and ballet. It's just factually true. That is a truthful statement. He didn't diss opera or ballet. He didn't mock opera or ballet. He didn't say you're stupid if you like opera or ballet. He just said, I mean, just people don't go to this stuff.
He might even love it, but he's like, no one else goes.
Yeah, for all you know. It is not a big deal. And there are people who are like, listen, the reality is people love drama. So they're trying to make it as if it's a big deal. It's not. And nobody cares that Timothée Chalamet said that not a lot of people go to watch ballet. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. And listen, I think because of the results of the SAG Awards, I actually think that Michael B. Jordan legitimately has a shot. It's one of the best Saturday Night Live skits. I think he's got a legitimate shot at winning now. But if he wins and Timothy loses, it will have nothing to do with this.
Not at all.
Like nothing to do with this at all. Anyway, and that was the last question?
That was it.
All right, guys. That'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. And number two, you supported this show as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. So big thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical producer, Jonathan Voitko.
Till we meet again.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.